Hey, it's Kaufman is Alive. I look at comic books new and old. Today we're looking at an old comic book going back 30 years as I continue my review, the Age of Apocalypse series, covering all the X books from this crossover event. And I'm almost done here. We've got issues 3 and 4 of X-CALIBUR to do. And today I'm going to be looking at issue number 3. And I think I'm going to make a separate video for issue number 4. So check that out later. Issue 3 has got this pretty cool cover that's actually drawn by Carlos Pacheco and Bill Sienkiewicz inking it. They are not the creative team on the interiors of the book though, but we do get this awesome cover here. And actually this issue does form a team called X-CALIBUR with all of these members here: Mystique, Nightcrawler, Damask, and Switchback, who's actually a character created here in the Age of Apocalypse by the writer Warren Ellis. And we got Ken Lashley doing the interiors, Tom Regzrin doing the inks, Joe Rosas doing the colors, and Richard Starkings and Comicraft doing the letters. These X-CALIBUR books have this unique opening splash page that I don't think any of the other Age of Apocalypse books have any kind of opening pages like this. But America is Dead, which Apocalypse taking over America here in the Age of Apocalypse. I do like the layout of this though. It does kind of give it its own feel. And Ken Lashley doing the artwork in here, he's got to be pretty young at this point, in his early 20s. This has to be some of his earliest stuff. I feel like he's still trying to get his own style going. His style kind of mimics the Kubert brothers or Jim Lee's. Got a little bit of Joe Madureira thrown in there as well. It's pretty good though. I mean, I do like the artwork in here pretty much. He's got all this wild hair on Mystique and Nightcrawler here. I did kind of notice he really doesn't, he kind of employs the Rob Liefeld method of not drawing feet throughout a lot of this issue. A lot of shadows and rocks covering up the feet. He does get one good drawing of a foot there. But grass covering up the feet. There's a hill covering up the feet of all these characters here. Just something I kind of noticed throughout here. We've actually got Deadpool in this issue, although he's called Dead Man Wade here. Probably the coolest thing about this issue is all the Dead Man Wade stuff, to be honest. But we got Mystique and Nightcrawler. They're trying to make their way towards Avalon, and they're being followed by Damask and Deadpool, or Dead Man Wade here, who are working for Apocalypse. And in the previous issue, they had Dani Moonstar with them, but Damask killed her. So they're heading towards Avalon. There is this weird scene. It just doesn't feel quite right. Nightcrawler slapping Mystique here. Just feels kind of a bit out of character. Mystique posing as Switchback here to try and make their way to Avalon. They're confronted by Kane, Marco, the Juggernaut here, although he's not the Juggernaut in these issues. He's actually a monk, so he's non-violent, peaceful. He doesn't want conflict, but he's kind of the gateway into Avalon here. He agrees to bring Mystique and Nightcrawler into Avalon. Mystique asks, "What were you, Kane? I mean, before you came to Avalon?" And here is where he explains he was a man of violence. God gifted me with great physical power, and I squandered it on murder. Dozens of murders, hundreds. I still see their faces, he says. So they finally come upon Avalon here with the help from Kane. And Mystique sees Avalon. She says it's incredible. It's like what my father told me about heaven. And Nightcrawler says it's good to see her smile. And Kane tells Mystique about Irene, or Destiny, that she has a son now. And of course, Mystique is coming to Avalon to meet Destiny here. And here we finally come upon her. She greets her as Raven. And we see her son, Doug, here. So kind of interesting, we got Doug Ramsey playing a role in this series where he's the main focus of the current age of Revelation, where he becomes the heir of Apocalypse known as Revelation, and creates an entire kind of sequel to the Age of Apocalypse, which we're going through now. So cool to see Doug showing up here. He doesn't speak in this entire issue. I actually thought he was a mute. And then he's got like 1 or 2 lines here in issue number 4, so I found out he's actually not a mute. But reading through this issue, originally I thought he was, and he's got the whole language power, so I thought that would be kind of interesting. Turns out I was just wrong, but he does feel like a character who's just kind of thrown in here. He's not too developed. He's pretty one-dimensional, just Destiny's son. Destiny says, "I've waited too long for you to share Avalon with us." And she says, "Oh, Irene, that's not why I'm here. I've come to ask you to come with us." It says, Destiny, with a little pained noise she might have learned from Raven, turns and walks away. The others follow, nowhere else to go. So they go to the Avalon Village, and Destiny introduces Mystique to the Switchback character, who was in the first couple issues. If you want to find out about her whole story, go watch my videos on that. And then we are at the entrance of Avalon, and we see Deadman Wade here with Damask. This is a pretty cool drawing of Deadpool here. I like this version of him. He's written pretty well here by Warren Ellis. He's saying this whole continent that they're on, it's alive, it's alive. He says, birds singing, fresh green grass, nothing like at home. And he says, and being alive stinks. Let's go kill it, Damask. But this is where she starts to turn against what she's been sent out to do by Apocalypse here. So suddenly they all just get attacked by Deadpool here. And Kane is being urged by Nightcrawler to step in and help defend Avalon, but he just won't do it because he's a pacifist. And then at first I thought there was going to be like something that was implanted in his brain or something that kept him from fighting. And then once he starts fighting, it causes his brain to like explode. But it's actually just revealed here by Mystique. She just says, best guess, drive an almost psychopathic need for peace up hard against a deep-seated lust for violence. And he's had an aneurysm. Couldn't stand the strain and a brain vein popped. So that's kind of an odd way to take out Kane there. He has an aneurysm. But then, so Damask here, she starts to feel that this isn't right. She says, I always wanted to do things right, but the world was bad, so I became like the world, because that was obviously the way things were. No one ever told me the world could be like this. And she's seeing all the beauty of Avalon and everything. So she immediately just turns on Deadpool, stabs him in the neck, which gives Nightcrawler a chance to teleport Deadman Wade's head off here. And he turns to Damask and says, are you next? And she says, and this is some really stilted dialogue here. She says, no, I was sent by Apocalypse, but I'm defecting as of now. I like the foam coming out of the mouth here, or the corners of the mouth of Deadman Wade here. I like that. I like the way he's written here too, though. Like I said, this whole scene with Deadman Wade is probably my favorite part of this entire X-CALIBUR series. His whole little story arc here. You kind of feel sorry for him throughout all of it, because he's kind of mindless, and he says, I'm a nice man, I am. I just don't want people to be alive, that's all. I'm going to have to kill you now, Damask, because Apocalypse will be angry. So he's just kind of like this little kid being led around by people. But then he gets his head taken off here by Nightcrawler. I do love Nightcrawler's look in this series too, if I haven't really mentioned that yet. I mean, he's got the swords and the shoulder pads, the eye tattoo. This is just my favorite look from Nightcrawler. But then, so switch back down here. She says, don't recognize the caliber on these bullets of yours, Mystique. The only marking I can find is this X stamped into the steel. And she says, they were Magnum loads for a .44 caliber, but I customized them. The X was kind of the joke. So I do like this idea of like the X-CALIBUR bullet. So there's an actual reason for the team to be named this. But Damask, again, getting back to her motivations just seem all over the place. I mean, she killed Danny Moonstar, who was on her team in the previous issue, and then she brings Dead Man Wade all the way here just to turn on him and then join up with X-CALIBUR here. But now Kurt, he's got all the women on his team, so he's a pretty made man. I kind of feel like Warren Ellis isn't really trying too hard in this book here. Nightcrawler, as usual, seems like Warren Ellis's self-insert character. But we see our X-CALIBUR team all kind of form here. I really like this final page. It does look a lot like just sort of one of the Kubert brothers stuff, though. But it's pretty well done. This could have been a cover for sure, but they went with the Carlo Spiceo, Bill Sienkiewicz cover. But so we see Damask joining up with Mystique and Nightcrawler here at the end. That's pretty rushed and seems pretty forced as well. But we'll find out what happens here in issue number 4. I'll get into that next. Stay tuned for that video. I'll have that out later today. And go read comics.